This guy asks, what are some green flags on a date that tell you a relationship may very well last? He says, some background. My relationship style is forming a friendship with the other person first and then getting to know them so well that dating each other becomes natural. So his concept is to take things slow, and he understands that, and that's an important thing to know. Because it's like women do basically commit to that relationship and commit to love and attraction much more slowly. Like they might have that initial attraction, but they'll usually commit to it at a much slower pace than usually the guys do. So at least he has like this mindset coming from the start. Now, what he's really lacking in right now is his approach. So his approach and his strategy is not going to be effective. So he is thinking that if he just friend zones his way into a relationship, that's going to be the most effective way, or that's what's really going to create a good relationship. And oftentimes it's so much harder. Well, it is. It's so much harder to come from a place of friend zone to dating than it is from nothing to dating. And that's because it's like she's already established these basically things about you. So it's like she's already established perceptions. There you go. About you. And so she's already put you into a category. And when she puts you into this friend zone category, that's not where she's like really romantically interested in you. And so she's basically going to put you on the side and then look for somebody that actually is like displays like masculine qualities or gets to the point or sets a definite date. And so you're going to basically be in this side zone piece, this backup position. And then what that does is it basically eliminates you from really finding someone that actually may be interested. And you don't even know if her interest is high enough to really date you. And you're just basically like wasting a lot of time. And what you're also probably doing is pursuing or thinking you have to please her enough. And that you just have to please her enough. And therefore, if you please her enough, then her attraction will grow toward you and then you can eventually date her. It just doesn't work that way. Attraction doesn't work that way. If you become this super pleaser and thinking that you have to like chase her or do these things, it's like when you do that, she's almost going to be like, well, kind of back off, dude. Or it's like, or she's going to just further cement you into that friend zone. So this approach is not a good one. Instead, when you find a woman attractive, it's like get to the point, and your point would be going on a date with her. And so it's like you set a date in the evening that communicates more of a romantic interest compared to just like a coffee date or something like that, because there's really a very limited opportunity to really set up a kiss or go further from just like daytime experiences. And so when you are decisive and you're confident, that is one of the most attractive things to women. And so if you can just do that, what it also does is it eliminates this chasing, and it eliminates so many basically complications. Also, when you're in friend zone, she's probably going to, if she does have some kind of like slight interest in you, she's probably going to send you some tests that often aren't interpreted in the best way, especially over like text messages. And so when you fail her tests, then she usually just say, hey, you're out kind of deal. So texting is really a danger zone. And when you're friend zone, it can just create more opportunities for her attraction to drop or you to fail her tests. Because, you know, women often communicate indirectly, and guys, if they're not trained, don't always pick up on these things. He says, but just in case, in all caps, what are some green flags for someone who dates the modern way? Well, so he's preparing. It's at least he's trying to work on himself. At least he's trying to prove. At least he's kind of gotten that door, even though this door isn't going to lead to high success rate. Because he's kind of intellectualizing this whole process right now, when it's really, if you just simplify the whole process, it'll get you so much better results. Get to the outcome you want in as few steps as possible. Take the lead. And then he's saying modern way of dating, using a dating app or having your friends set you up with someone. I wouldn't say that's the modern way. And if it is the modern way, Well, the dating apps, yes, but like the having friends ask girls out for you, that's just a weak thing to do. And so if you're saying this is basically how it's normal and you're just going to fit in and be normal, that's not going to get you results. When you have your friends ask someone out for you, it communicates very low confidence in yourself. And then when you're doing dating apps, yes, it can be effective, but usually you start from a lower place of interest, or a lower interest level, if you will, than compared to meeting someone in person where you ask them out in person, because it shows more confidence. It's more of a connection. Um, and so you're going to have better success if you can just have the ability to approach women and not make it into a big deal. It's just like women are people, just regular people. Don't make them into this pedestalized, like huge deal. It's like just have a regular conversation. And that's usually the best way to pick up women. Is just have a regular conversation. Read her body language. Is she playing with her hair? Is she asking you questions? Is she smiling? Is she looking in your eyes? Is she facing you instead of kind of turning away? Is she kind of excited, or is her tone of voice maybe more high pitched? Is she talking maybe more quickly? Is she doing things like maybe she even touches your arm or like initiates physical contact? Is she doing these things? And do you feel like she is interested in you just through that conversation, just regular conversation, maybe talking about even like the weather, maybe something at a grocery store, maybe something she's wearing, maybe she has some sports team, maybe she has something that stands out, maybe she has something that you can tell she put a lot of effort in, and you notice that and you recognize that. Not in a way that's like, oh, I need to say this, therefore she'll like me, or therefore, or that will get me to get a date with her, and it's just like robotic kind of deal. It's like, no, if you're going to compliment or you're going to like point something out, say something you truly feel and don't hold back. So don't say things like you think that she'll like, oh, I think that she'll like me saying that she's pretty. It's like, if she's pretty, she's probably heard that her whole entire life. And she knows it. She doesn't need to be told that again. And when people tell that to her over and over again, it's just like comes across as unnatural, comes across as sometimes like bribing, for her to like you, or her to go on a date with you, or to get to your number, or to have sex. So it's like, you have to be genuine with yourself. And that comes from coming from a place of being in your heart. And so having the courage to really say what you feel. But I mean, just have a regular conversation. Once you have that conversation and you read her attraction, that's your outcome, is to read her attraction. When you approach a woman, your outcome is to read her attraction, not to be focused on the result of getting her on a date. Because it's like, you're okay with getting her on a date or not, because you're going to be fine either way. You're going to move on. You're going to find somebody great. You have that mindset that you have value yourself. But when she does display those levels of interest, that's when you ask her for a number. Hey, what's your number? I got to run, but let me get your number. Boom, pull out your phone, get her number, walk away. Or you say, hey, I'd love to, I got to run, but, I'd love to get together with you sometime. What days are you free? Boom. Then you have a plan. You take the lead. Yeah, so that would be a much better approach than your perception of like the normal modern day dating, which is dating apps and having your friends ask women out for you. Those both are just like lower signs of confidence than really just approaching someone. It can be scary if you haven't really done it, but it's like if you approach it just not attached to the result, just saying, hey, kind of just like talking and seeing if she's interested, then it's not as scary and you can do it much more easily. And oftentimes when you do that, you don't approach it in like a nervous way as much. But I'll answer your question. What are some green flags? So is she fun to be with? That's really one of the number one things. Is she fun? Do you guys really connect? Is it easy to talk? Can you two joke around with each other and not take it seriously? Is she okay with space? So it's like, if you give her a few days space, is she going to have like beliefs that, that you do care about her, and that you're just, maybe giving her some space, or you need some space, or that you're busy, and then she's excited when you reach out? Or compared to like a more of like a red flag, is like, is she totally upset, or she like accusing you of cheating if you give her a few days space, or things like that basically display beliefs about relationships that relationships never work or have these beliefs about men or whatever. Yeah, and then you kind of just customize it. Like when you date more and more women, you kind of customize it into things that you want. So maybe you customize like, hey, we have similar interests, or I want somebody that has this kind of interest, or that is really into like fitness and takes care of their body. Um, and another one's like loyalty too. So it's like, is she pretty loyal? It's like you probably won't experience that as far as the dating, because it's like you don't really have an obligation to them, and you don't want to basically force loyalty. But if you kind of get that vibe where she's like a really loyal person, that's one of the most essential things for really men to feel. Men really value loyalty. Women do too, for sure. Um, but it's just a really strong trait um, in men. Um, yeah, you might have other things like, hey, does she really like to learn things and learn new things? And is she constantly working on herself? Does she have her life together? Is she kind of squared away as far as her career? Um, does she seem like she doesn't like overdo drinking, or she doesn't do drugs or something like that? Or and these things are more custom to you. So it's like kind of sit down and say, hey, what do I want in a relationship? What's my ideal person that I want? Are they funny? Are they intelligent? Are they charismatic? Are they shy? Or do they just kind of introverted and kind of that's what I want? It's like you have to customize that to yourself. Go on dates and keep revising your criteria. So sit down and write, hey, what works? What do you want in a relationship? What do you don't want? And then also write down, hey, what do I need to become in order to attract a woman like that? So what qualities would that woman want in a person? And write all those down. And then what qualities would they not want? And write all those down.